Now, I would never tell you to do this with anything other than memory wire, but we're going to be breaking the rules here. Usually when we think about memory wire, we think about bracelets, sometimes necklaces, but mostly bracelets. Today I'm going to be making something else with memory wire. Hello, welcome, my name's Carol. Now, if you've been watching for a while, you will know that I have made memory wire earrings before, but today I'm going to be doing them a little bit differently and I'm going to be breaking some of the rules. So let's get started. I'm going to walk you step by step through the process of making these earrings, and I'm going to talk about everything that you need. Let's get making. You don't need much in the way of supplies for these earrings. You're going to need some 4cm memory wire. If you wanted to make larger earrings, you could just use larger memory wire. I've got some 6mm glass smooth beads, and I have a pair of ear wires and 2 4mm jump rings, and that is all you'll need. But you will need some specialised tools. You are going to be needing some memory wire cutters. You're also going to be using 2 pairs of chain nose pliers, and a pair of flat nose pliers, and a pair of round nose pliers. Now, the difference between a flat nose plier and a chain nose plier is just the points. So you can see that my flat nose pliers has a flat point, a flat end, and my chain nose pliers have a point. Now, you don't need to use the flat nose pliers if you don't have them, but I found it easier and I got a nicer bend using my flat nose, so it's up to you. You will, however, need to use memory wire cutters because memory wire is really firm. It's made of stainless steel and it's really, really hard. So if you use your cutters, your normal cutters, with memory wire, you will damage them. If you haven't used memory wire before, as I said, it's made of stainless steel and it's really, really hard and very springy. So, for example, I've got it all tangled. When I pull it, it goes back into shape. Within reason, you don't want to pull it too hard. So that's what we're counting on today, is it's got that nice firm hold. Now, I'm actually only going to make one earring for you today. I've already made one. There we go. There's my earring. To make this, what you're going to do is cut your memory wire to start with. Now, you need to cut it about 1 1/4 rounds, just to give yourself lots of space to work with. And what you want to do is cut 2 of those. I've got it all hooked up. There we go. Obviously, if you're making a pair of earrings, you will need to cut 4. What I suggest is that you do your both earrings together. That way you will end up with a nice pair of matching earrings. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my flat nose pliers, and first of all, I want to put my memory wire so that my ends are together. You can see there I've got 2 ends together. And what I want to do is take my my flat nose pliers, and I want to come down to the bottom. And you can see I'm doing this with both pieces. I want to be kind of at the middle of where that, a little bit further, just a little bit further from where I've got my ends there, my 2 ends matching. They're not perfectly matching, that's okay. Let's have a look. Maybe I will make them perfectly matching. There we go. So I've just come down and put my flat nose pliers into the loop, and I'm just under where those 2 are matching. So I'm kind of at the opposite end of the circle, if that makes sense. And what I'm going to do is hold it nice and flat like that, and I'm going to hold it nice and firm because it's hard wire. Just give it a push, just like that, to make a little point on the end there. I know it looks weird. I want to make a loop, and that's a little bit too much for a loop. So I'm just going to put my pieces back together, and I'm going to hold them up here. And I'm going to take my cutters and I'm going to cut at about 1 centimetre from where it's crossing. I'm going to hold it. I need extra hands. So make sure you hold the end in your fingers so that it doesn't fly away. So that's what I have now. That's much better, much more manageable to make a loop. So I'm going to take my round nose pliers now, and I want a loop that is going to face up. So the round part you're going to see from the bottom or the top. So to do that, I am going to take the wire in my round nose pliers, and I'm going to, now I want to make sure it's not sticking up. If you haven't made loops before, I'll leave you a link in the description box to a video all about how to make loops. So I'm just going to twist away from me. Now, I'm not particularly strong, so for me it takes me a couple of tries to get my loop right. So that's what I have. I'm going to do the same thing in the other one. And if you want to make sure that your loops are perfectly the same size, you can always put a little mark on your pliers with a Sharpie or something. So now I've got my 2 loops. I personally feel like they need to be centered on the wire. To do that, I'm going to hold the loop one at a time in my flat nose pliers, and I'm going to take a pair of chain nose pliers. So I've got the loop in there right at the bottom there, so I'm holding the loop is just there. So I'm going to take my chain nose pliers and I'm going to give it a holding really firm with my right hand, not firm enough. I'm just going to give it a bit of a twist. Now that didn't work at all because my hand moved. Yes, it did. Sometimes it's easier to actually hold it this way. So just giving it a bit of a twist. And I've twisted it a little bit as I've done that, but that's okay. The beauty of wire is you can always fix it. And my loops come a little bit undone, so I can fix that as well. So now my loop is facing up. Now the only thing is it's still on an angle and I want it to be kind of flat. So I'm going to give it a bit of a squeeze down like that. You can see why these pliers come in handy. So that's what I'm looking for. And I'm going to repeat that for this one. Okay, so now I have my 2 pieces. What I'm going to do is take this end, my piece that isn't looped, and I'm going to thread it up through the center of that loop. Now it's a bit springy, so I'm just going to give it a bit of a on the end. So I just bent it up a little bit just to get it to go through there. There we go. Now I'm noticing that this loop isn't quite closed. Now I would never tell you to do this with anything other than memory wire, but we're going to be breaking the rules here. So my loop's not quite closed. Now with a memory wire loop, what you can do is take your chain nose pliers and very gently, super gently, just give it a bit of a squeeze to make it closed. And as I said, you'd never do that with a normal loop, with normal wire, but with memory wire, you can get away with it a little bit. And that one's fine. So just give that a bit of a tweak up and thread it through that loop. So next what we're going to do is make a bend in the wire right where it comes out of that loop. So I'm going to take my wire in my flat nose pliers, and you can see I can't get close enough to make the bend. So what I'm going to do is just kind of push that, see I can push that loop out of the way, like that. So what I'm aiming for is it to be kind of opposite this point here. So just taking it there, and I'm going to, whoops, I dropped it, give it a bend. Okay, and repeat for this one. Now you should have 2 pieces that are still exactly the same. Now for the first one, what I'm going to do is thread on my bead. Now I only want to do this with 1 piece for now. And what I'm going to do is take my flat nose pliers, and using the bead for leverage, I'm going to make a bend in this wire. So I want to bend the wire back towards me. And the reason I'm doing this is so that my loop that I'm going to make is centered on my wire. So that's what I have now. Then we'll do the same thing with this one. Next, we're going to make a loop in the top. Now, we've obviously got way too much wire here, so we're just going to trim it off to about 1 centimetre from that bend. Maybe a little bit more, because you can make your loop a little bit bigger here. I'm going to do the other one at the same time. That way, if you get your little tails different lengths, you can trim them. And they look about right. Yep. Okay, so now that is what I have. And I'm just going to give that one a bit more of a bend because I don't feel like it's in the right place. Sometimes these flat nose pliers you can go in with the point, and that's why I like them so much. They just allow you to do things that your chain nose pliers aren't quite as good at. So now we're going to make a loop. So now the trick here is that these loops are going to go in different directions. So one is going to go sideways. So I'll go ahead and do that. Just a standard loop. Now you can see my loop is a little bit bigger than I made the last one. So that's what I have now. So now this one, I want the loop facing front to back. So I've actually got this bend going the wrong way to do that. So I'm going to take my pliers, holding that wire in my pliers, I'm going to give it a twist so that that bend is now facing backwards. Front. I want it to the front, don't I? So that's better. That's what I'm actually after. So my wire is facing towards the back, the front, sorry. Because when I loop it around, it'll be at then my seam in the loop will be at the back. That's what I want. So now I'm going to make my loop. Just squishing it down so it's nice and firm. And making sure it's nicely centered. So that is what I have now. So the difference between them is one loop is facing backwards and one loop is facing the front. So you want to make sure that the opening of the loop here is at the back every time too. I'm going to attach my ear wire next. So to do that, I'm going to take the ear wire, the side of the loop that opens in my chain nose pliers, holding it on the side, supporting the ear wire in between my forefinger and my thumb, and just twisting down with my hand. And I'm going to take the loop that faces front like that and put that onto my earring and closing that up. So I'm looking for the front of the ear hook to be facing the front of the earring. And by the way, if you're enjoying this, it would be really great if you would subscribe, hit that notification bell, and give me a thumbs up if you're enjoying this video. So next what we're going to do is we're going to put this one inside this one, and we're going to attach it with the jump ring. And to be honest, when I was trying to work out my prototype for you, this bit nearly gave me into tears because I could not figure out how to do it. So hopefully I figured it out and it saves you having to make the mistakes. I'm taking a jump ring and I'm going to open it. If you haven't used jump rings before, I will leave you a link in the description box for a video all about how to use jump rings. Basically, I'm taking it on the side, either side, and I am opening it with my pliers. Right, I want to hold the very bottom of my jump ring, so give me lots of room. And I'm going to squeeze this loop down. You can see I'm squeezing my memory wire. I'm going to thread that jump ring through there. And then I'm going to put on this top loop. And very carefully holding everything, I'm going to break the rules and I'm going to give this a squeeze like this. Now, having just said, if you don't know about jump rings, then go watch the video. The video will tell you not to do that. But it was the only way I could get it to close properly. So now that I've got it on there, I can actually go back in and close it properly. So there's my earring. Now what you do need to think about is you want this jump ring to be at the front of this loop so that it's facing the right way. It will move around a bit, but you want it to make sure that it's in the front. If it's not sitting right, you can manipulate this loop here and the wire coming out of the bead so that it will sit right. So there's my earrings. They look very open and airy, and I really like that about them. If you enjoyed this and you would like to see more of me, you might consider joining my private membership group here on YouTube, where you will get to see more of me, literally. You will get to have a live stream with me once a month where I can answer your questions and maybe do some extra projects and things like that. You'll also see extra content, and if you want to join the top tier, you will also get a Zoom call with me once a month where we can talk about anything that you want. It doesn't have to be jewellery related, it could be anything. So that was an interesting project for me because I woke up dreaming about it, as you do, and I thought, oh yeah, I can make that and it will be no problem. Now, because I was using memory wire, it was a little bit more challenging than I thought it would be. Now, that was simply because I didn't have the technique right, and so hopefully you've got the technique right, and if you break those rules with squeezing your jump ring together that way rather than trying to do it with 2 pairs of pliers, hopefully that will work for you. Let me know in the comments section below if you are intending to make these and if you have the same problem that I did with getting that jump ring to sit right. Thank you so much for watching today. Remember to check us out on Facebook and Instagram, and I will see you again soon.